It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Riding on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, throw a bone, getting high, getting shook. Watch all your folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's easy to do one night stands. Try being a rock and roll band. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome to another round of the 2005 NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series season here for race number 5. Going to be a fun one once again as we take to Brew Country here in Milwaukee for the Miller High Life 400. A bit of flat track, short track action coming your way just a moment's time as we head trackside in just a second here and taking a look at your starting lineup tonight. It'll be the 16 car of Greg Biffle taking pole for today's event. 120 laps set to go here from Milwaukee as Jeff Gordon in the 24 car going to be on his outside. Kevin Harvick in the 29 will start in the third position with Jamie McMurray in the 40. Going to be in fourth place, Terry Labonte making a part-time start today. He will be in fifth place in the Hendrick 44. John Wood in the 6, going to be in sixth place. Seventh is Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Eighth, Dale Jarrett in the 88. Ninth, Chad Little in the 28 car. And the 25 of Brian Vickers rounds out your top 10 here tonight. As we wait momentarily, Command about to be underway, and we will get rolling for pacing. Going to be a long one tonight, a bit of a test of endurance here from Milwaukee, as we will now take you for the Command, the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Drivers have their engines fired. It'll be 120 laps here from Milwaukee. As mentioned prior, Greg Biffle in the 16, going to be your pole sitter and lead the field to the green. A lot of tire wear, a lot of pit stops, potential for a lot of carnage. We could see any form of a race here today, as this one going to be a bit of a wild card as Milwaukee makes its return to the Cup schedule for only the second time in its history. Pace car peels off, and we are under green here from Milwaukee for the Miller High Life 400. Jeff Gordon tried to hang it high on the outside there. Saw a lot of that in the GNS race last time out, but unable to stay there side by side with the 16 as Biffle is quickly off and into the lead. Harvick will take second after starting in third place. Gordon finds a spot on the inside in third as the field starting to string out just a little bit after a couple of corners. Early in the running, we see McMurray and Labonte side by side for what is going to be fourth place. McMurray with a bit of a drive off on that outside, and the 40 will hold on to that spot. As Johnson threatens on the outside. Looking to try to get around his teammate. Outside looking a little prominent to start as Jimmy Johnson now around the 44 of Terry Labonte. And it is a party back there trying to get around that 44 car. All quiet on the front face as McMurray is now made quick work by the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Makes quick work of McMurray to get around him for fourth. Quick moves. Bonnie boys side by side for the last spot. Outside of the top 5, looking for 6th. As the 18 looks low on the 44. And Terry Labonte going absolutely nowhere to start this race. Top lane looking a little formidable in battles though, but at the moment Bobby Labonte making that bottom look nice, and he is going to clear the 44 car. Labonte brother battle comes to an end. It is now teammate Tony Stewart right behind the 44 and side by side with him trying to get into 7th place. Chad Little lurking behind, as well as the 97 car of Carl Edwards. Jimmy Johnson at 48 looking extra fast early in the running, has already caught up to teammate Jeff Gordon in the 24, as Biffle still sits comfortably in your race lead. Put a pretty big gap on the 29 of Harvick. Ran his best lap that last time through, a 28.965. Although Jimmy Johnson fasted last time through, he ran an 8.97 out of that Lowe's 48 machine. Labonte still going backwards back here. Chad Little looking for 8th place as Edwards looks for 9th. As it is going to be Edwards' position as he takes 9th place. Labonte down to the very last spot in the top 10 now. And still a ton of racing left to go. Not even into double-digit laps yet. Labonte making a run at the 97 around the outside. Trying to send it in on that outer lane. See if he can make that move stick. Almost pulled even with him by the apex, still there, and with a run down the backstretch. Both lanes having their shining moments so far early in the running here tonight. Edwards going to remain in front of the 44, and that opens the door for Dale Jarrett looking for the top 10 now. Dead even down the backstretch by the 44 and 88, but Jarrett will dive it off into turn number 3 and take that spot away, as now Brian Vickers trying to make that 25 make up some spots in that car, and he is not quite done with Terry Labonte yet, as Labonte gets a very good entry there into turn 1. A couple of teammates still side by side as they head down the back straightaway. Labonte still desperately fighting to try and find some speed out of that 44 car, but has just been hemorrhaging spots since the start of the race. Meanwhile, further up the grid, see side by side for the last spot in the top 5, that is McMurray and Bobby Labonte. McMurray in a bit of a Gibbs sandwich at the moment, with Stewart lurking behind the both of them, even maybe look to take it 3 wide there. But for now, we'll stick behind McMurray as the 18 and 40 remain side by side down the front stretch. Bonnie gonna enter hard in turn 1, tries to get clear, couldn't quite do it. But now on corner exit, finds some grip on the bottom, and Labonte is into the top 5 in the 18 car as Stewart now looks for 6th. McMurray trying to find the grip on that higher line, but Stewart making the bottom work nicely, although a bit of a run by the 40 down the front stretch, and he slots in front of Stewart. And McMurray will hold on to 6th ahead of the 2002 Cup champion. Down the back stretch, Biffle's lead still comfortable over the 29 of Harvick, who has put a gap on Hendrick teammates Gordon and Johnson in 3rd and 4th. And Labonte now looks to run some laps in clean air from 5th place in the 18. Meanwhile, further back the order, Terry Labonte has already fallen down to 14th place. Vickers and Jarrett battling for position. Robbie Gordon has sort of slipped his way through that whole group. GNS race winner for his own team in the 55, with a chance at a top 10, and in fact actually is already in the top 10, and looking very fast right now as he catches up to Edwards in the 97 and Little in the 28. Further down the order, any notable names down here? John Wood, the last car in the top 15 in that 6 car. Todd Bodine with a nice run in 16th, and Riggs in 17th. And your points leader, the 38 of Kane, absolutely nowhere at the moment, barely even holding on to a top 30 right now as he battles with Wimmer in the 23 car for that 28th spot. Jeff Burton, another driver who has found himself higher up in the points, is way down the order right now. A couple of tough runs for these fast Fords early in the going, but still over 100 laps to go here. Robbie Gordon still making some noise as that 31 car is going to take over 9th place from the 28 of Chad Little and sets his sights on sophomore Edwards in the 97 car with a chance to maybe take away 8th and drive away with the speed he's found at the midway point in the run. Meanwhile, Johnson has dropped off of the 24 of Jeff Gordon, and Gordon himself has caught up to and closed the gap to the 29 of Harvick in 2nd place. Biffle still led every lap so far in the 16, and still a sizable gap to 2nd place runner Harvick after 20 or so laps. Gordon sliding way up the track, losing a bit of grip on the right sides there, and really had to slow it down to keep it out of the wall. But trying to hunt down Harvick for 2nd. See teammates Vickers and Labonte still fighting with each other as Labonte and the 25 of Vickers side by side for 13th place, and Vickers gets back clear of the elder statesman in the 44. Is an absolute cluster of race cars, 23rd through 15th, all in a pack. Could be up to 13th and have 10 cars in this group if Vickers and Labonte continue to hold each other up. A lot of racing action in the midfield right now. And tire wear really starting to get to some of these guys, seeing .9s out of some of those guys in the mid-pack, although they were running side by side there, so not entirely much of a surprise, but can expect these cars to be a little slower for the time being. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, get a checkup as Gordon in the 24 is through on Harvick for second and has his sights on race leader Greg Biffle now, but has to keep the 29 at bay with that Goodrich Chevy filling up his mirror. Harvick with a run out of turn 4 might have a chance to dive it up the inside here, but he's going to stick in line for now. Gordon looking pretty equal on pace. Jimmy Johnson slowly closing the gap from 4th. Maybe have a chance to get around one or maybe even both of these guys, but we'll see if he's got the speed to do it. But slowly closing that gap right now. Gordon, not really a whole lot going from second place, as his lap times seem about identical with Biffle right now. Cars pretty much running equal laps. Biffle a couple of hundredths faster every lap or two. Seeming like he's slowly pulling away, but again, a lot of race left. Just wishing he could pull away from these guys and have a bit of a gap, especially with that 48 picking up speed for the second time this run. Like to have a buffer to him, or Harvick in between him and the 48 for now. Pretty much every spot in the top 10 right now is settled and separated. Not a whole lot of battling going on the racetrack until you get to the sub-20th positions. A lot of fast cars here that you can imagine are hoping for that pit cycle to come soon so they can get their cars adjusted and tuned up for the future runs. Expecting quite a few pit stops here today. If I would imagine it would be 2 or 3. And again, the tire wear pretty big at this track. Lap times down half a second or more after just shy of 30 laps completed. But it is all Greg Biffle in the 16. Has led every lap of this race so far and has built up a big gap. It is 2 seconds to second place Jeff Gordon. It is 4 Chevys led by a Ford in the top 5. It is second through 4th is all Chevrolets, and now excuse me, I should have said second through 5th, but now second through 6th as Stewart is into 6th place, and Ricky Hendrick into the pit lane with a tire down. And no impediment of traffic, so we will stay green, as that's a tough break for Ricky and the 5 team. Down pit road with no caution. It'll be an early pit stop for him and his crew. but no extra delays on the pit stop there. 14.81 on the 5, and he is away without a problem. Here's Jimmy Johnson on Harvick for third. Jimmy putting a little bit of power down there on corner entry to try and edge ahead just a little bit. Has the advantage off of turn 2, but Harvick with the run on the outside. But Jimmy gonna dive it in there. And the 48 car has himself third place and his teammate back in front of him. So Ricky Hendrick on fresh tires now, hoping he can take advantage of those. Although getting held up in last place traffic right now with his off-schedule pit stop. Would definitely like to find a way past some of these guys and take advantage of the fresh stuff on that 5. Could be seeing lap traffic not too long from now. The first lapper is only a handful of corners. In fact, just one set of corners in front of Biffle in the 16. Biffle still just running away from Jeff Gordon in the 24. That gap almost up to 3 seconds for the 16. Jack Roush definitely loving this one. 35 laps completed on lap 36 now. Biffle, Gordon, Johnson, Harvick, Labonte, your top 5. Stewart, McMurray, Edwards, Gordon, Little, your top 10. Not a single side-by-side battle all the way until 20th place, with Kenny Wallace and Mike Skinner fighting for position. Skinner, a bit of a struggle on the bottom there, allows Wallace and 2 to clear him and opens the door for Riggs on the outside. Kurt Busch in the 01, another car having a bit of a poor day, looking to pick up some spots and salvage this thing. But unable to find his way right now. Take a look back up front. Gordon still second, Johnson still third, and Biffle still pulling away up to 3.15 seconds ahead of the 24 of Jeff Gordon. A couple of Hendrick boys looking like they might be about to have a fight for second. Johnson looking fairly quick on the longer run and would like to get around his teammate, but Gordon gonna play it defensive. And holds him off for second. At least that time by. And a very poor set of corners for Johnson as Gordon scampers away. 40 laps completed, 80 laps remaining here from Milwaukee. Not a whole lot to talk about right now. And pit stop time as Jeff Gordon in the 24 peels off into the pit lane. See if Biffle went in with him. Yes, he did. So Harvick, the first non-Roush 16 lap leader tonight. Labonte 6th on the racetrack. McMurray, Edwards, Robbie Gordon, other drivers in the top 10, and Chad Little, the last top 10 driver that stays on the racetrack. Biffle and Gordon into their pit boxes. Four tires completed for net race leader Greg Biffle as he pulls away. Jeff Gordon also out of his pit box without trouble. Jimmy Johnson as well. Stewart follows behind. And Kevin Harvick in the 29, your race leader, into the pits. McMurray stays out another lap, and the 40 team leads a lap here. Picking up some bonus points, and you can imagine he's probably going to peel into the pit lane this time by. And with that low line and the competitors running high, McMurray straight off the racetrack and into the pits is the 40 car. Look out. Oh, John Wood cutting it close to that pit wall side by side on pit entry. Not something you want at a pit lane like Milwaukee, as that's contact, and the 68 of Sauter is around on the front stretch. Trying to get into the pit lane, got a car to the inside. That is going to be a caution. In just a moment, we're going to let this cycle out since the game decided not to call it. Just give it a few more short moments. And damage also on the 43. Yeah, that is Andretti that was involved there. And trying to get it to the pit lane. I believe we should be able to call it now. Sauter finally gets into the pits. So we'll call it this time by... Where on earth is that 16 car? There he is. Caution flag will come out. So yellow flag flies for the 43 of Andretti and the 68 of Sauter, as we'll get a look at that incident coming into the pits. Andretti, I believe already a driver that has made his pit stop. They are 3 wide there. No, actually Andretti definitely trying to pit as well, and Kenseth on the inside coming out of the pits, and both of them just completely missed it and straight into the inside wall. Sauter goes for a spin, and that brings out your first caution tonight. So under yellow, with Biffle still in the lead, has led every non-pit cycle lap so far today. And your lucky dog car is going to be the 51 of Eric Norris for competitive edge. A couple cars looking like they're going to pit in to top off, and you can imagine the 5 car of Ricky Hendrick back on the lead lap will be one of those cars that comes in to top off, and does so. 4 tires and fuel for Ricky Hendrick. He, with that early pit stop after the tire going down, stayed on the racetrack obviously for that caution and ended up back on the lead lap, but will start tail end. So, as we mentioned prior, 51, Eric Norris getting the wave around. And we'll be back on the lead lap. We'll take you an intermission and be back momentarily here under caution here from Milwaukee. Back from intermission here, getting set to go green as Greg Biffle will be your leader. Mike Bliss a lap down in the 81 car in between second place Jeff Gordon and then another lapper Buckshot Jones, Jimmy Johnson in third, fourth Harvick, fifth Bobby Labonte. Top 5 remains unchanged. We're back under green. Biffle with a great jump to get away from the field. Jimmy Johnson wasting no time on getting low on the 78 of Buckshot Jones. Bit of chaos on the start here. McMurray washing up against Carl Edwards. Side by side by those two as Stewart and Labonte side by side for 5th place. Way up the racetrack is Hornaday. Lapper in the 08 as that opens the door for Newman to try to get around Chad Little. Couldn't quite do it. Here's Vickers on the inside of him. A lot of battles after that green flag restart, bunching the field up. Harvick putting a bit of pressure on Johnson. Jeff Gordon trying to migrate around the lapper of Bliss in the Gibbs 81. Big run there off of turn number 4 by the 81, but Gordon still looking faster on the inside. And Bliss completely missed the second half of the corner there. Jeff Gordon going to make easy work of him and will be in front of the 81 and has a clean track to Biffle, but Biffle sets his fastest lap of the race again and now has a very big gap once again to second place. 5th is now Stewart in the 20 as he's trying to get around the 78 car. And Lapper Buckshot Jones side by side with him. Teammate Labonte trails in 6th. McMurray behind them, and Edwards looking to make a move for 7th place in the 97 car. Down to the inside, opens the door for Robbie Gordon as well, and this whole rest of this train with an opportunity to pick up a spot or two here and start jostling for position with all the lap traffic. Big struggle for McMurray, and now stuck behind the 78. Had a lane to maybe try to take it 3 wide. Robbie gave him a lot of room there into turn 3, but Murray elects to stick it on the top, trying to get a run around the outside of the 78, but couldn't quite find that grip out there. And Robbie Gordon sends it in on Buckshot Jones, completely cruising by the time corner entry is over. Buckshot opened the door, and Robbie wastes an absolutely 0 time. Characteristic Robbie dives it in and is past the lapper. Now Chad Little trying to get around the 78. Harvick still piling pressure on Jimmy Johnson for 3rd as Biffle trying to maintain that gap to 2nd place Jeff Gordon. He's been there pretty much all race. A lot of chaos, a lot of cars slipping up mid-pack. McMurray still trying to find a way around Buckshot Jones, looking like he's maybe going to have it done, although Buckshot with a good mid-corner on the outside, but obviously a little slower than these better equipped cars. And 10th place McMurray finally, after losing 2 or 3 spots, is around the lapper and back on the inside, and has a little bit of clean track, though not free of pressure, with the 12 of Newman trailing right behind him for that final top 10 spot. Harvick lost some ground to Jimmy Johnson and now under fire from lapper Mike Bliss, who's trying to go around the outside of the 29. Opens the door for his teammate Stewart. But Bliss getting aggressive right now. Nothing going for now. With another chance, now dives it to the inside. Harvick not going fast enough for Bliss's liking as we near the halfway mark. And also, maybe a little bit of help for his teammate as Tony Stewart has an opportunity to take 4th away from the 29. Sticks it on the inside. Harvick Looking strong on the outside, though, but a tough battle. Stewart trying to stay there. I think Harvick's going to have the run unless Stewart can dive it in. And he will not, so Harvick holds on to fourth. Gap to the lead just under a second, and we have completed half of the lap. 60 completed, 60 to go. Greg Biffle led this entire thing from start to finish, aside from that green flag pit cycle. Fourth place. Still not much of a fight right now, but Stewart lurking right behind the 29 of Harvick with a chance to make something happen, but has yet to find a way to get around him and has been held up enough to the point that Harvick and Stewart now have to look out for the 18 of Bobby Labonte. Biffle once again just pulling away. It is now 1.5 seconds to the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Now 1.4 that time by. Gordon just can't quite keep up with him. Once again, reach a stretch where there is not a whole lot to talk about, though Jamie McMurray's race kind of fallen down the drain, down to 14th last we checked on him. He was in 10th, still stuck around the lap cars. Hornaday Jr. and Buckshot Jones both fighting for 40th place, right around the 19 of Kyle Busch as well at the very end of the top 15. Folks getting aggressive right now, as we are once again just past halfway. But as we said before, all Greg Biffle out front, up to 1.9 on the 24 of Jeff Gordon. That 16 looking hard to beat with just over 50 laps to go here from Milwaukee. And Harvick side by side as the 29 once again trying to get around the 81, who has been a bit of a nuisance here for these lead lap cars, but once again maybe making an opportunity for both of his teammates, the 18 and the 20, with a chance thanks to Bliss's antics. Stewart looking around the outside on Harvick, although Harvick keeps him behind. Just crossing for 50 laps to go. And actually results in the two Gibbs teammates fighting it out for 5th instead. Labonte v. Stewart down the backstretch as Labonte looking to try to take the final spot of the top 5 from his teammate. And looks like he will be able to complete that move, providing he has a fine corner here in 1 and 2, and does exactly that. And Stewart up the track also opens the door for Carl Edwards, who's been having a pretty quietly good day, with an opportunity to strike late and pick up some spots. Robbie Gordon, another car that's been really fast on these longer runs, also with a chance to make some moves and make some noise. Carl Edwards, bit of a poor exit. That opens the door for Robbie on the outside. The 31 going to try to go to the top. Edwards very quickly clears him once again, although Robbie trying to use every inch of racetrack on the outside. Still there, side by side, still with that Roush 97. Edwards gets clear of him again. Robbie trying to find that grip. He's been really quick in the mid-corner, but Edwards finally re-clears the 31 and holds on to 7th. Cost both him, the 20, and the 31 a lot of time. Ryan Newman in the 12 in 9th place, and Chad Little in the 28, who spent a lot of today in the very end of the top 10, remains in 10th right now. Again, points leader Casey Kane still not even inside the top 25. He runs in 27th place in the 38. It has been a tough day for Kane here from Milwaukee. Looking like that early points lead is going to trade places. And that 8 car, Dale Jr., with an engine problem, down on the apron of the racetrack, looking like he's going to stop. And that will be a caution. And yes, Dale Jr. coming to a stop there on the backstretch. Yellow flag is going to come out and bring out our second caution of tonight's race. Now, I'd like to check, when was it that these guys pit earlier in the race? Let's see. So they can make it anywhere from like 42. It's going to be tight. We're going to have a little over 40 laps to go. Some of these guys did pit around lap 42, 41. I think 42 was the earliest, and we will be restarting around 40 laps to go. So you can expect these guys should be good on fuel from here. So this is going to be your money stop, as Greg Biffle will lead the field into the pit lane. With 44 laps remaining. Lucky Dog car is going to be the 81 of Mike Bliss. Will be back on the lead lap even if he pits here. Race leader Greg Biffle into his pit box. And without further trouble, 16 holds the lead and Jeff Gordon holds second. Harvick with a bit of a poor stop, drops a lot of spots there. That's a tough break for him, just in front of Newman, down to 8th place, I believe, is the 29. Expecting these lappers to pit, but once again, Mike Bliss will be your lucky dog. We'll take you at intermission and get you back to the restart in just a moment. So, gonna be exactly 40 laps to go on this race restart. Biffle, again, led every lap outside of the pit cycles. Only, I believe, 3 or 4 laps not led by him. Jeff Gordon in the 24, Johnson in the 48, Labonte the 18, and the 20 is Stewart. Your top 5. Pace car peels off, and Greg Biffle leads the field back to the green. A great restart by Jeff Gordon. Jimmy Johnson kind of caught sleeping there from 3rd. Whole top 10 stays single file into turn 1. Jeff Gordon with a great restart and with a chance to take the fight to Biffle. And he looks low and gets the nose underneath, side by side for the race lead. Jeff Gordon trying to spoil Biffle's party. A great corner by the 24. He will lead that lap side by side into turn 1. Biffle with a good entry. Gordon trying to stick it on the bottom. Biffle trying to find that grip on the outside. He's been on the bottom the whole race. A bit of a slow exit by both of those drivers. Jimmy Johnson catching up from 3rd. Labonte from 4th. Biffle clears Gordon for 2nd, and for the lead, excuse me. For 2nd is Johnson as the 48 goes way up the racetrack. Gordon struggling to find grip early despite that quick start. Side by side, Hendrick teammates and Gibbs teammates. Gordon with a great second half of 1 and 2. Has the nose ahead of the 48 into turn 3. Johnson v. Gordon still for 2nd place. And Gordon couldn't quite clear him off of turn 4. A great run down the front stretch by Jimmy. Still side by side as Biffle runs away yet again. Still side by side for 2nd place off of turn 2. Gordon looking like he might finally get back clear, and the 24, no, Jimmy finding the grip on the outside, but Gordon clear and stays clear. Jeff Gordon back to 2nd, lost all that time, down a full 2nd now on the 16 of Greg Biffle, despite leading a lap and being oh so close to taking that lead away. It's where Biffle has been most comfortable all day. That's the most uncomfortable anyone has made him this race. Hasn't been on the outside once, but managed to fight him off. Robbie Gordon looking to pounce into the top 5. That car looking faster and faster the longer we get into this race. And he is into 5th. Kevin Harvick trying to make up lost ground after dropping way back and down into 7th place. After a very slow pit stop under that last caution. 1.2 seconds to the 24 of Gordon from race leader Biffle, who is trying to run this thing home and hoping that he has enough fuel to make it. These guys pit with, I believe it was 43. There's 44 coming to 43 laps to go. That is a bit of a stretch on fuel. We saw drivers pitting on 42 at the earliest on the one and only green flag pit stop. Here's Jimmy Johnson for 2nd place on Gordon. Side by side are the Hendrick teammates. Once again, does Gordon have the stuff to keep that 2nd place on the outside? Johnson with a much better 3 and 4. Stewart sticks it on the outside. Robbie Gordon going to fill the hole down low. These Hendrick teammates so close. Great exit by Gordon. I believe he will remain clear providing Jimmy doesn't dive it in. Yes, he does. Stewart now stuck on the top. Gordon loving this in his mirror as Johnson and Stewart remain side by side and hold each other up. Johnson gets clear of Stewart into turn 1, however. 1.9 to Biffle. Once again, a 2-second gap to the race lead. Hasn't been close all day. That restart where Gordon got to the inside, that's the closest it's been all night. And I think the opportunity might have passed, providing we don't get another yellow. Just gonna take a quick peek real quick. Excuse me while I am tabbed out. There we are. Johnson maybe looking a little faster than Gordon right now, but the 24 just masterful defense every time they've gotten side by side. Gordon's held him off, kept him at bay. It's been a great race from the 24, despite the fact that he is definitely being overshadowed by the dominant performance out of Greg Biffle. But nonetheless, a great race for your 2003 Cup champion. Jimmy Johnson catching up, looking like he might have a chance here, and gonna try it again. Previous 2 Cup title winners side by side inside the final 30 laps. 29 laps to go, and Johnson did not even sugarcoat it. Took him 1 set of corners, and he is finally past the 24. Gordon maybe finally giving it up. That 48 has been so quick this run, and Tony Stewart now. Gibbs 20 car lurking from 4th, looking to try to take a podium spot away. But gonna have to catch all the way up before he has a chance to make a move on Jeff Gordon. 2.1 seconds is the margin between Biffle and Johnson, your 2 race leaders. How about the recovery drive from Matt Kenseth? That 17 car, another race where he started way down the order. Started in 20th place, saw a low of around 25th, all the way up into the top 10 again here tonight. A great run from that Roush 17 team. But now that Johnson got let by Gordon and got around him, that 24 found some speed again. Maybe Johnson's stalling out. Just none of these guys can seem to figure out how to lead a group. And even more close to home is none of them can find out how to catch the 16. 2.37 now is your gap between Biffle and Johnson, as Gordon and Stewart now putting some pressure on the 48 car. But right as I say that, Johnson pulls away from those 2 once again. Great lap by Jimmy that last time by. 25 laps to go. Jeff Gordon trying to fend off Stewart for 3rd. And the battle is heating up for the last spots in this top 10. 9th, 8th, 7th. Kenseth, Newman, and Labonte all fighting for position from 9th through 7th, as Harvick sits in front of them in 6th. Newman staying stingy on that outside on the 18 for 7th place, but Labonte dives it in turn 3 and is back clear. Opens the door for Kenseth on the inside. Bit of just a really bad corner by Newman there. And 12, looking like he's going to get left behind by Kenseth. Johnson starting to slowly reel in that 16, but still a 2-second buffer for Biffle. Not a lot to worry about, but this race isn't over. Still got quite a few laps left in this short track extravaganza. Trying to hold on to the lead while Johnson runs his best laps of the race and chops away at the margin to the race leader. Once again, Johnson just a fraction of a second faster, not as big of a lap time difference the last time through by the 2 leaders. Gordon faster than the both of them that last time by, as coming to the line here. This race getting ready to close out. It's 20 laps to go for Milwaukee. Greg Biffle in the 16-year leader. Jimmy Johnson, a much poorer lap out of the 48, a 6:08, while it was a 3:5 by Biffle and a 2:8 by Gordon. All that time made up by Johnson eliminated that last lap. Johnson the fastest that last time, only 0.03 between the three leaders. Stewart definitely faster than all of them that time, but the least likely party to take the victory here today, as he lost a lot of time to the 24 and 48 over the last handful of laps. It is Harvick now in the top 5. I believe he made a pass on both Labonte and Robbie Gordon, and that 29 of Harvick driving angry late in the run here, trying to pick up some spots and make up lost time back into the top 5 for the first time since the pit cycle. The last spots in the top 10. How about Kurt Busch with a recovery up to 11th in the 01? That is a great way to recover your race after spending most of this night in 25th and around that area, to salvage it into a top 10 potential run. And meanwhile, points leader Casey Kane has gone nowhere but backwards. 29th now is the 38 car with his teammate Jarrett. It's been a struggle for that team here today. Meanwhile, up front, Biffle way up the track from the race lead there. That's a pretty big mistake. And another fairly slow lap, but Johnson not looking much faster. Gordon, once again, the fastest of the top 3. But such a margin between all 3 of these guys that you can say it is hard to imagine any of them will swap positions, barring an end-of-race pit cycle with these guys cutting it rather close on their fuel margin this late in the race. Johnson faster again, the gap to the lead down to 1.6, and bad news for Biffle is Andretti, the lap car in front of him. Could hold him up a little bit, but Biffle's so much faster that you can imagine he's probably going to be able to make that move fairly quickly, but going to have to make quick work of the 43 car. Other than that, I do not believe there will be any other lap traffic. 15 now, 14 laps to go. Johnson still running that 16 down, but Gordon running both of them down himself. Bit of a poor corner by Biffle again. We can see the 48 in frame now, as opposed to earlier. Just perfect laps down to 1.4. Johnson doing everything he can inside the final 15 laps to make up that gap. Here is Biffle catching the 43. Gonna take him low, no question, and no trouble here. Though maybe a little bit of trouble, as Andretti gonna at least run him side by side in the corner. That's gonna benefit Johnson a lot. But Biffle makes short work of the Andretti 43 car. But lost a lot of time, and it was a 2.922 out of the 48 last time by. Absolutely perfect laps right now as we approach the final 10. It's less than a second between him and the 16 now. But bad news for Johnson is Andretti's going to stay in front of him in 3 and 4 this time. That's going to cost him a lot of time here down the front stretch. Johnson doesn't make the move, stays behind the 43. That cost him 3, maybe 4 tenths. Gonna have to get around him here. And he's just not doing it. Gordon catching up for second place. Andretti with that engine damage. And Johnson looked low, but again doesn't get around him. Biffle's gap all the way nearly replenished. 1.6 with 10 laps to go. Neither of these guys looking like they're in much of a hurry with 10 laps left. And Johnson now finally will peek the nose underneath. Lost a full second and maybe a quarter in sitting behind the 43 car there. And that may very well be the race. Biffle's gap replenished back up to 2 seconds with 9 coming to 8 to go. And it baffles the mind there what the plan was with Johnson's 48 team. And we have problems for the 99 of Jeff Burton, who is on the apron and slow. And that is traffic impeding. And he is going to stop on the racetrack, and that is going to be a caution. We are going to have a yellow. Caution flag is out. Oh my goodness. Jeff Burton with a mechanical problem. Suspension issue for Burton, and Greg Biffle, coming to 6 to go, is gonna have a caution period now. Can you believe that turn of events? Yellow flag is out. Greg Biffle takes the caution. And we are under yellow flag conditions once again, and this is gonna get interesting. There are not going to be many laps left in this thing when we get restarted. Looking like everyone's going to stay on the racetrack, and you can imagine if they were short on fuel, going to be able to save enough fuel under this caution to stay alive, and it will be the 08 car of Ron Hornaday Jr. receiving free pass under this caution period. We'll take the intermission and be right back after this. Back here from intermission at Milwaukee. It is going to be 2 laps to go here from the Milwaukee Mile. Greg Biffle looking to hold on to this one. Jimmy Johnson in the 48 will restart in second. Gordon third. Fourth, Stewart. And fifth, Labonte, with lap car Andretti splitting them. This is going to be dicey. And Biffle blows up and runs it into the pit wall. We're going green with 2 to go. The 16 loses his motor. We're back under green. Jimmy Johnson takes the race lead. You cannot be serious. And we are back under caution, and that is going to be your race. I cannot believe it. Unbelievable! Disaster for the 16 team! And that extended caution is going to conclude this race. "118 laps of dominance come to a close as Biffle loses his engine coming to the restart into the pit wall, trying to get it off the track. Caution flag comes out, and Jimmy Johnson will inherit the race lead. We're going to have one more lap of pacing. The white flag taken under caution. I cannot believe what I just saw. "115 laps led by the 16 team comes to a close in absolute disastrous fashion. Blowing a motor, coming to the restart, couldn't get it off the track, caution flag comes out, and Jimmy Johnson absolutely steals one. I can't believe that. I absolutely cannot believe that. Dominance comes up empty, and luck comes up victorious. Jimmy Johnson, winner your second time this season, beats out Jeff Gordon for the victory here tonight. It will be Tony Stewart in third, Labonte fourth. Harvick will come home with his top five. Robbie Gordon in sixth place, Kenseth seventh. A great recovery drive for the 17. Eighth, Edwards. Ninth, Newman. And another great recovery drive, Kurt Busch. Hats off to the 01 team for bringing home a top 10 today. I cannot believe it. Jimmy Johnson, your winner here from Milwaukee in one of the wackiest conclusions to a Coca-Cola Cup Series race I have ever seen. Two-time winner this season. Exactly how they drew it up. Wow. Can you believe that? I'm speechless. I am actually speechless. Race number 5 comes to a close. Let's get the official number on laps led by the 16 car today. 113 of 120 laps led here tonight. To blow up, coming to the final restart with 2 laps to go, loses his engine, tried to get off the track and couldn't, ran it into the pit lane. Obviously, that pit lane hit will not remain canon, but the 16 could not get it off the track. Are you serious right now? What a conclusion. What a conclusion to your race tonight. Jimmy Johnson, your winner under caution after an absolute, just heart-wrenching turn of events. The 48 car wins it. Can you believe that? Never seen anything like it. Well, that'll do it here from Milwaukee. Jimmy Johnson, two-time race winner already here in 2005, takes his second win in just 3 races. And that will conclude the Miller High Life 400. An absolute dominant run by the 16. Comes up just 2 miles short of conclusion. Led 113 of 118 laps ran just to blow up coming to the final restart after his teammate lost the suspension part. And the 48 car is your winner. But that'll do it here for coverage of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. I'm Caden Reif. It has been an absolute pleasure, and what a way to end it. We'll catch you next time, as race number 6 will be from the high banks of Bristol for the Chaos Bowl Food City 500. But we'll catch you then, and as always, have a good one.
It's a long way to the top.